I have spent the last couple of weeks drawing turtles. My knowledge of reptiles was quite limited, so I decided to learn more about them. Since reptiles aren't my favorite subjects to draw, I wanted to begin with a cuter option. I initially thought I knew more about turtles, but I realized I was missing even basic information that children often know. For example, I couldn't even list all the differences between turtles and tortoises. Turtles are a distinctive order of reptiles known for their unique shells, which are primarily composed of bones from their spines. Their shells provide shelter and protection, and they come in different shapes according to the environment of the species. One of the differences between tortoises and turtles is this, for example, because land-dwelling turtles have more dome-shaped shells, making them resistant to being crushed by large animals. Aquatic turtles possess flatter, smoother shells that help them move through water more efficiently. Additionally, some turtle species have pointy or spiked shells, offering extra protection from predators and better camouflage against the leafy ground. Most turtle species live in or around water, except for tortoises, which prefer land. Although sea turtles inhabit the ocean, they still breathe air and lay their eggs on land. They have favorite beaches for nesting and migrate long distances to reach them, whereas most other turtles migrate seasonally over shorter distances because they can move slowly due to their heavy shells. Turtles are mostly omnivores. Another difference between tortoises and turtles is their eating habits, because land-dwelling turtles are more herbivores and aquatic species are more carnivores. Tortoises love to eat grass, fruits, and leaves, while there are some sea turtles that can eat fish. Turtles that prefer to eat other small animals have stronger muscles around their jaws to have more efficient bites. The limbs of turtles also vary. Tortoises are adapted for life on land, featuring column-like legs like elephant-like feet and short toes. In contrast, freshwater turtles have more flexible legs and longer webbed toes that provide better propulsion in water. Species that are excellent swimmers have their front limbs evolved into flippers. When we compare turtles to other reptiles, they have smaller tails, better hearing, even though they don't have ear holes. Their eardrums are hidden under their scales, and they have better sight in full color. Turtles come in very different sizes. Some can go up to 2 and 7 meters, and smallest species can be less than 10 centimeters. When I look at animal species, although I try to draw them and learn about how they look, I also try to learn how these animals were used by people, and I knew that various species of turtles are popular as pets because I had friends who had turtles in their homes. But I also learned that turtles have been used as food, especially by Asian cultures. In my country, we don't eat turtles, but there are some very popular dishes around the world, like turtle soup in English cuisine or tortoise stew in Florida. The carapaces of turtles have been used to make jewelry, tools, furniture, and ornaments for centuries. I looked at museums and found many examples where turtle shells, or in rare cases turtle leather, were common materials of rings, bracelets, dishes, bowls, knife hilts, combs, and were used as sounding boards for instruments like lutes, harps, and mandolins. There have been supposed aphrodisiac or medicinal properties of turtle eggs, and the shells have been used in traditional medicine, especially in Asian cultures. Because turtles have been hunted for their meat, traditional medicinal uses, and shells, many species are endangered. Sea turtles frequently fall victim to accidental capture in fishing nets. Additionally, turtle habitats worldwide are being destroyed. Although turtles age slowly, There have been examples of turtles that can live up to 180 years due to the combined pressures. Many species are now extinct or facing the threat of extinction. There's even a World Turtle Day to celebrate and protect turtles held every May 23rd. So, what about turtles in art and culture? Turtles have been portrayed across art, children's stories, literature, video games, film, and television. However, their most significant cultural role lies in mythology, particularly in creation stories and symbolism. Turtles are the Zen masters of the animal kingdom, often depicted as chill, wise, and patient. Thanks to their long lives, slow and steady pace, and tough, wrinkly look, they are the ultimate icons of wisdom, knowledge, longevity, tranquility, and stability. These cool critters have found their way into every corner of human culture, inspiring artists, photographers, poets, songwriters, and sculptors alike. There are famous paintings like these depictions, and people riding tortoises is a repeating pattern that I have seen in different works around the world museums. Turtles star in countless myths worldwide, often playing key roles in epic creation stories about how the earth came to be. In other words, turtles are not just slow and steady, they are legendary. Many cultures have been fascinated by the uniqueness of turtles, incorporating them into myths and folklore. Perhaps the most famous depiction is in Hindu mythology, where the world rests on four elephants standing on the back of the world turtle. This cosmic turtle also appears in various adaptations, such as Chinese versions and numerous Native American creation stories of Turtle Island. For example, in the Chinese version, there's a story that says the tortoise helped Pangu create the world. The creator goddess Nuwa, or Nugua, chopped off a sea turtle's legs and used them to hold up in the sky after Gong Gong knocked down the mountain that supported it. The turtle's flat bottom shell and domed top shell matched the old Chinese belief of a flat earth and a domed sky. For both the Chinese and Indians, the tortoise represents the universe. Many ancient mythologies like ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, China, ancient Greece, and Rome have gods symbolized as turtles or just turtle gods, and there are stories revolving around the turtles and the gods. This popular narrative, adapted into many mythologies, has found its way into modern depictions such as Terry Pratchett's Discworld, where the world is a flat disc supported by four elephants atop the shell of a giant turtle. Some of the stories I like from ancient Greek mythology. Tortoises represent fertility and therefore were a symbol of Aphrodite. In a story about Hermes, he invented the lyre by killing a tortoise and using its shell. In the myth of Zeus and Hera's wedding, a mountain nymph didn't want to leave her house to attend, so as punishment, she was turned into a tortoise and had to carry her house on her back forever. In ancient Egypt, Nile turtles held magical significance and were believed to ward off evil. Amulets and objects like magical knives depicted turtles, symbolizing a protective force for health and life. There were many inscriptions of turtles on different types of relics. The tortoise is one of China's four fabulous animals, which are the most important creatures in their mythology. These animals represent the four directions, with the black tortoise ruling the north, symbolizing endurance, strength, and longevity. Unlike the other mythical creatures, the tortoise and the tiger are real animals. Though the tortoise is often shown with magical features like dragon ears, flaming tentacles on its shoulders and hips, and a long hairy tail that looks like seaweed or other plants that grow on old tortoise shells and trail behind it when it swims. The Chinese Imperial Army used flags with images of dragons and tortoises to symbolize unbeatable power and invincibility. These animals would fight each other, but neither could win. The dragon couldn't break the tortoise, and the tortoise couldn't reach the dragon. Also, in Chinese geomancy feng shui, the tortoise symbolizes the water element, while the tiger, phoenix, and dragon represents the other three animals. The black tortoise represents the back of the home, symbolizing support for family life and personal relationships. Placing a tortoise near the back door or in the backyard by a pond is believed to bring good luck and many blessings. 3 tortoises stacked together represents a mother and her babies. In China, because the tortoise is a symbol of longevity, there are many burial mounds shaped like turtle, and countless stories talk about how tortoises live for a really long time and can transform into different forms. Old Turkic people of Central Asia also used stone turtles in Orkhon inscriptions, which are memorial installations written in the Old Turkic alphabet. Japanese culture adopted the myth of the 4 guardian beasts from China. These creatures are said to protect Kyoto from threats coming from each of the 4 directions. The black tortoise, or gembu, sometimes shown as a mix of tortoise and a snake, guards the north. The other beasts are the azure dragon in the east, the vermilion bird in the south, and the white tiger in the west. In traditional Japanese beliefs, the tortoise symbolizes longevity, good luck, and support, and represents Kompira, the god of seafarers. It's a popular motif in miniature sculpture, and there's also a very well-known artistic pattern based on the hexagonal shape of a tortoise's shell. These miniatures are called netsuke. I have found many examples of knife handles and sword guards from Japan, which have beautiful depictions of turtles on them. In many North American stories, the world turtle supports the earth on its back. These groups share a creation tale called the Earth Diver myth, where a supreme being sends an animal into the waters to bring back mud or sand to create land on the turtle's back. That's why many indigenous people call North America Turtle Island. In Malaysia, there is a ritual to banish ghosts where coconut leaves are used in shapes of turtles. In the Tahitian Islands, the tortoise is seen as the god's shadow and rules over the oceans. In Polynesia, the tortoise symbolizes the war god too. Warriors traditionally adorn themselves with tattoo designs inspired by the tortoise. I also learned about other interesting things about turtles, which are more about science and technology because it is about spaceflight. 2 tortoises were on the Soviet Union's September 1968 Zond 5 circumlunar flight, making them the first earthly living things to travel to the vicinity of the moon. Turtles were again sent on a circumlunar mission in November 1968, and for Zond 7, 4 turtles flew the August 1969 circumlunar flight. Scientists chose tortoises because they were easy to tightly secure in a spaceflight. One last thing I want to add is that I was looking at the sketch of a man wearing a turtle shell, and it reminded me of Ninja Turtles. This is another way that turtles have been part of popular culture, and I had completely forgotten about it. So, studying turtles was a long journey. I drew 20 different species, and actually there are 360 living and recently extinct species of turtles. But now I don't want to look at turtles anymore, so I think I will not be going into the reptile territory of species for a while. But I learned a lot of things. The most inspiring thing is that turtles were symbols of many things like gods, concepts, cities, ancient or modern. And they played a part in many different cultures. So a kind of an animal can become a part of an epic story, can be depicted in many ways in culture. An animal becoming a central being in a creation story is intriguing enough by itself. Apart from the cultural thing, I learned about these species, and each one was unique in shape and color, and they can be inspiration for creating dragon-like creatures, and I believe that they were already used for that in the creation of dragons. For the shells, spiny necks, different head structures and colors that I have seen and tried to paint, they will be useful if I try to create a creature concept. The 20 species that I have chosen was chosen because of the features that I liked in turtles. So someone else could have picked different species to study, and if we were to create a new kind of creature, I think everyone's imagination would take them somewhere else and we would end up with very different drawings. So I think I will try to create something new based on what I was inspired about the turtles, but for now I will leave these just as studies. This was my research on turtles, and I just hope someone out there will find this useful or inspiring for some sort of project.